Hello, hello. We're doing the weekend prep going into Monday, November 10th. And so just kind of quick run through of everything and just kind of prepping for the week ahead. So did the kind of weekly sentiment check across the AIs. And so it looks like for Grok, NQ is neutral to bullish still, which is interesting. ES is still bullish on Grok with a mild dip. Hmm. And then gold is bearish. So that's interesting. I think since Grok probably indexes X data, maybe this is more current and recent. GPT has NQ weakening, so there's some agreement there. For ES, a little bit more bearish. So that's interesting. And then bullish on gold. So there's some disagreement between Grok and GPT. And then for Claude, it gave me a table, so I couldn't really paste it in here. But we're bullish on NQ, which is counter to Grok and GPT. We are neutral on ES, which is counter. And also we're bearish, which agrees with Grok. And so for me, everything is kind of mixed. And maybe you can even put like a uh, summary of everything. So this is like neutral, I think. Neutral is probably the right thing. Bullish, bearish, and neutral. So neutral, neutral. That's hilarious. And then for here, we got two bearish and one bullish. So I think this is bearish, right? So take that with a grain of salt. I'd just like to see how AI interprets what everybody's saying, what news is saying, but definitely no real agreement across the board. So I think next week might be you just have to be open to both sides, really. So that is kind of interesting on the, I guess, upcoming earnings front. So I was kind of looking here. So Monday, nothing too crazy that I was paying attention to. And then for Tuesday, I thought Oklo's coming, so that might be interesting. I know that's one of the nuclear names, and Embis, so that's also another thing. They had that partnership announced with Microsoft, I think, which sent it up, and so we'll see what happens there. So that may actually be something to pay attention to a bit more. We got Cisco, Circle might be interesting on Wednesday. Disney maybe. I know AMAT's been always a nice thing to look at. Sony perhaps. So just looking at the big market cap names, but I'll definitely be watching Oklo and just seeing if that causes anything in MBIS for the NQ. Um, so there you go. For what's happening to uh, as far as news and everything. So yeah, it looks like Cisco and Disney are the noteworthy ones. Nothing coming up for Monday. Got some Fed speaker stuff. Really kind of quiet. We got the CPI, but I don't really know if that's going to happen with the government shutdown, PPI, and all that. So let's see. Let's see what happens there. I don't really have too much of a idea of what else might be coming. I know on Monday there's meant to be the tariff deadline. I don't see that anymore here, and so I'll need to look into that. So there you go. For the, I guess we'll look at options flow here really quick. So if we look at the NQ, let's say the last 7 days. So last 7 days, price has been up and kind of going down. If we just look at price, so right, we've been kind of going down. Volume has been red to green to red and kind of mixed on Friday. And then so we have puts, a little bit on the 30th going up and then kind of flattening out, really picking up on Thursday and then trying to pick up on Friday, but kind of getting back to neutral. And but calls not so much, which is interesting, right? Like puts are outpacing calls a lot. Although on Friday we did, I guess with the big flush, right? More calls are getting, premium was being spent there, so that is something to pay attention to. When I look at price on the 1 hour, when it comes to like GEX and dark pool levels over the last day, let's just make sure this is the last day here. Yeah, we're looking at the last one day and then the GEX profile. So it's interesting. We are kind of in this red GEX area. So depending, price could spike either way here. So that's something to pay attention to. If we do break up, maybe we push up. But there's a lot of dark pools, right? Like right here where we kind of broke down below here. So let's see if that becomes a magnet, other dark pool area in the last day. So I'll just be watching those. Um, and there's this big negative gex area here, and then it's not so negative, not a lot of, it's like a low kind of pocket here, more neutral. So I'll be watching this area, the 609 610s, in the equivalent in the NQ. So I'll look at that on the trading day Monday. And then if we look at SPY over the last, let's say 3 days, right? Let's say 7 days. Why not? So price itself, been going down, and then we see puts also like beginning of the week up, and then a little bit like lessening, which is interesting. Calls are winning. So yeah, I think people are betting more to the upside there, which is kind of interesting. And then if we look at price, so kind of similar to what's happening in the Qs, right? So this is hourly. Oop, 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 oop. So we got this negative kind of big Gex level, but also big dark pulls. But we push past it now into this green level. And so in theory, price would want to stick around here. Here's these two green levels. And so maybe price kind of sticks around here. But if we get below here, maybe we start flushing. So we'll see. But a lot of dark pulls in this 668, 670s range. So I'll be watching that and just seeing how things shake out pre-market on Monday. But it's interesting that we're kind of in this zone where we might stick around in ES, and for NQ, um, it's really, there's not a lot of positive gamma situation, so maybe we don't stick, but we're really just in this negative gamma thing, so maybe we spike up or not. So I'll keep an eye on that. And then for gold, look at the last 7 days. Price is kind of up down, kind of sideways, and put premium's been pretty muted. Some spikes in the afternoon, but didn't quite follow through for price. Like you see this spike on Thursday, and price really just kept going up, and then try to spike again on Friday. And then calls, like nobody's really buying. I mean, they're buying, but not really. It's pretty neutral. And then so you kind of see volume really get negative, positive, negative, positive, negative, positive, negative. So I think gold is a little bit sideways. And if we look at price here, so Matt, like lots of dark pool levels transacted here at these levels on Friday. So lots, right? Well, not transacted or reported on Friday. So through 368 and 365 range. So lots of, I guess this could be buying or selling, not sure. But also you look at the green bars. I guess this is the all positive gamma situation. So in theory, like price would probably just stick around, until it can kind of break away from here. And it doesn't look like we don't have any negative gamma unless we get down here. So maybe there's just a bunch of grinding in play for gold, but there's a lot of transacted right here, which is interesting. So that's something I'll be paying attention to going into next week. Looks like my initial read is maybe there's more potential for movement on the NQ going into Monday, and also Tuesday is a bank holiday, I think, or maybe not. It's Veterans Day. I know the stock market's open, but it's not a settlement day, so I think the banks are closed. So I don't know if that's going to impact volume or anything, but that's just something to keep in mind. And then when it comes to, I guess we can look at the charts now, just kind of see how things ended up on Friday. So we had, you know, super amazing flush right on the Qs. We kind of hit that previous high. We've gone all the way down to like tariff fiasco situation on the rare earth, like middle, you know, into this whole area. Then we kind of rebounded, right? But we closed pretty strong. I mean, not green, but still like in the upper, quarter of the candle. Same thing for ES. ES closed a little bit stronger. So I mean, this could be like a reversal if we can get above that. So we will see. We'll see what happens pre-market here. So that's interesting. For Dow, it's interesting that Dow had the flush, but we did close green, and this low did hold. So we tried for it. So let's see. Or not the Dow, but the Russell. And then so the Dow, we did break this low. So that is interesting, but it still closed out pretty green. We'll just kind of see how we go here. So I think for me, I mean, this looks like it could just be like a nice pullback to push back up. It kind of does look that way. But yeah, open to both sides. We'll see how we go. VIX had that nice spike in fear and then kind of cooling back off again. Dollar, not too much movement really. Treasury yields, nothing too crazy, it looks like, right? Yeah, nothing too crazy here. And then we got gold. Gold, it's all these higher lows, right? It's really creating this like triangle wedge pattern situation. And so it could break out, come back into it, push back up, maybe to this area, or we break down. But it's green, green candle, red, green, neutral, green, more green, closes a knot. And so we'll just have to see. It's just consolidating. So it has to make its move. And so we'll just see what happens there. So there you go. So for Megatech, let's see how we look. Apple's still holding up. So I think I posted something on X. I did post something on X actually where I saw a bunch of imbalance here sold. So I'm kind of watching that, but I don't know that it's ready to fall. I think it might be a trap. So there you go. Microsoft still down. Amazon didn't quite close that gap. Google still holding up. Meta just kind of dipping and dipping and dipping. So let's see. Ooh, Nvidia bouncing back up. So let's see what happens with that. Tesla still can't make that crazy breakout. So I guess we'll see. Qs are the Qs. Well, interesting that Qs that closed green on the regular trading hours. So that looks like super strong bullish candle to me. It fought everybody off and closed green on the high of regular trading hours day. It looks like. So that is interesting. So we'll be watching this if we can break above. So there you go. And then for the Mega Spy, so Broadcom still looks up if you zoom out. Berkshire kind of bouncing off and going back up. JP Morgan Trace, I feel like, and I read something on news that they had like a really good quarter and all that stuff. And they also, I think there was something, I forget what it was, but I think there was like some partnership that was announced. So that looks super bullish. We'll see. We'll see if that leads us up. LLY still super strong. Visa's just holding up, right? So that's good. Netflix, I still think we get to 1,000 here. So we'll see. Costco holding up, not too much. Spy, yeah, look at that. So on the Spy, flush and enclosed green. So when I look at that, I'm just like, well, things look pretty strong. Things do look pretty strong. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. I am as I look at like the SPY and the Qs compared to the NQ and the ES, it's like, oh, I feel like bulls are there. And so we have to kind of be careful, right? If you're on the short side, if you want to be on the short side. So, and you zoom out, I mean, that's just this like a pullback here and it went up, like this pullback, it went up, like this pullback, it went up, like this pullback, it went up. Here's a pullback. So let's just see if we go up. Um, yeah, we'll see how we go. I mean, that people got good prices here, right? Like they got October prices, they got October prices in November, and November is meant to be like the seasonally good, good, good month. And so if we're going to close green in November, we need to close above 686. So now it's like, well, you get all the way up here, even if you eke out green, then it's seasonally still true that this was a good month and it was green. And so now you have all this kind of profit going into that. So that, you don't even have to make new all time highs to keep the seasonality bullish for November. And then who knows, December, Santa rally, all that stuff. So that is interesting. Um, so I think that's it for me. I'll be back for pre-market prep and see how things go. Um, and we'll just look at the trading chart then. But I think going into next week, as I look at these charts, open to upside, to be honest. I want the downside. I always want the downside, but I'm open to upside given how the ETFs are trading. So cool. Well, that is it for me. Good luck and don't get caught. Thank you.